Madam Secretary, you want to take attendance?
1 second. Did we pass out a sign-in sheet for the
Yep.
guests? Okay, I just wanted to make
Done.
sure.
It's done.
Okay, 1 moment. So Wayne Harlos is here. Hannah Goodman.
Here.
I am here. Nathan Fauch.
I don't see you.
Nathan Fauch is on here. I don't know if he can hear.
Nathan's online.
Yes, his name is Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
The video chat.
And I
We'll
don't
tr-
think
we'll try
he
to remember
actually
that.
can hear.
If someone could put maybe, if there's a chat box
Yeah,
to.
I'll ask.
Okay, thank you. Daniel Lutz.
Or
Greg Lauer.
Here virtually.
Thank you. Ryan Kane.
here.
Kyle Fury.
Here.
Jennifer Nakarud.
Here.
Did I pronounce that right?
Nakarud.
Nakarud?
Yeah.
Thank you. It'll take me a while.
That's okay. I spelled it wrong in my wedding invitation.
That's pretty bad. Reese
That's actually
Labrie. Reese?
Do I need to say like here in his
Yes,
stead?
please.
Andy Bogovich here in his stead.
So is Reese here?
He's proxy. He is proxy.
Oh, it's proxy form. Gotcha. And Joshua Lullama?
Josh is not here yet. Is he online, Mike? Josh?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is that Josh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's him.
Okay. Well, we have quorum.
And we're just waiting to hear if Nathan is in fact here.
He is, but he's having trouble with his microphone.
Okay, did he respond to chat?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so I'll put him down as present.
Okay, I have the sign-in sheet here. All of our guests, we have a very busy meeting, so I'm going to give each and every one of you 2 minutes if you wish to speak. If you do wish to speak, please identify yourself before you do. So let's start here.
Well, I'm Andy McKeon. I'm the founder and president of Liberty Lives Forever. And I'm here to ask the Libertarian Party to purchase Pocket Constitution books. Hopefully you'll purchase a lot of them to give to libertarians around the state so they can give them to candidates or to students. And the idea is to, since you support the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, it's a great PR move for the party. And what you could do, since in the middle of the book there's an empty page, you can put compliments of the Libertarian Party of Colorado, or compliments, whatever you want to say. They're $1 each. I have boxes in the car. There's 160 books in a box. So Wayne knows I'm leaving Saturday for Missouri. I'm going to live near our grandchildren and our daughter and son-in-law. So I'm leaving Saturday. So I have some books left. It has my address here in Colorado. I'll be printing more books when I get to Missouri. And I hope, I was just talking to Victoria, to connect up with the Libertarian Party in Missouri. My goal is to have libertarians across America. If you can do it in Colorado, if we can do it in Missouri, to be giving out as candidates or just to your friends and say, we're libertarians, we believe in the Constitution, we support it. This is important that you educate yourself and to ask adults, if you're giving it to adults, to read and discuss and go over the Constitution with your family. I don't know if you haven't, have you had the books? I pass these out if you want a book. If you haven't got one.
Good.
In the middle of the book are flashcards. If you open the middle of the book, that's what we use to, you need one, Dave?
No,
Okay. So if you look in the middle, you'll see flashcards. So I don't know if the party would purchase some, or some of your libertarians around the state. Did you get a book?
Well, guys, I'm very much a fan of us having some of these pocket constitutions in our inventory to hand out at our outreach booths. Especially a place like a gun show, you know that they'll be flying right off the tables. So I think it's a good idea for us to purchase these. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we...
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I believe that's out of order at this time.
Okay.
We're in the middle of public comment. comment, not business.
Okay, you'll have to hang tight.
I'll wait, no problem.
All right.
Can I introduce Tamara, or does she have a chance to speak? She's with me.
If she would like to speak,
You want to
yes.
speak quickly?
I'm just here to say hi. I would just want to see all your faces. So I
She's
can
taking over
talk
for
to you
me.
later.
She's taking over for me since I'm moving to Missouri, so she'll be a point of contact if you want to do something. Her name is Tamara Stubbs. You can sign up here.
Pamela, would you sign the sign sheet, please?
Sure, glad to keep your.
And any questions, we'll be here. Obviously, I'll stay after the meeting. Thank you.
Your turn.
And my 2 minutes.
I happen to be your liaison to Center Right Coalition, which John Caldera hosts the second Monday of every month. It's held in this room. You're all welcome to come. Wayne's, I think I've extended invitations to Wayne especially. Wayne's predecessor, Victoria, came sporadically, and it's an opportunity to sort of see what the Republican plus community's thinking. This morning, basically disappointed with the legislature, no surprise, pushing initiatives of lowering taxes. The optimists seem to be the gals, the pessimists seem to be the guys, and I happen to also, in addition to being your liaison to Center Right Coalition, happen to be involved with the approval voting effort. I've passed out a flyer that shows the viability and visibility that approval voting gains, and why it's in my mind the best, one of my better arguments for approval voting. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Oh, I'm here for affiliate reports.
Okay.
Thank you, I'm just hanging out.
If you wish to. Okay,
No public comments?
okay. Okay, we'll get back to you guys then. All right,
Mr.
yeah.
Chair,
Yes.
I don't know if you're viewing the agenda live because it's still a work in progress and I didn't have approval of agenda on the agenda, which is an oversight, so I just added that to appear right now.
I got it right now.
Okay, just wanted to make sure
I
you
got it.
saw.
Okay, guys, if you look at your emails, you can click on your email and pull up the agenda for tonight. This is your opportunity to approve, or if you want to add something to the business section, now's the time to do that. So take a moment and read the agenda. Mike, did you say you told Tara to call in at 6:30 on your email?
7:30.
7:30?
I
I
told her,
think Karen Ann told him.
Okay, 7.
I sent the information along.
I originally said 6:30 because I'm dumb when it comes to time. And I corrected my email and told her how dumb I was and said 7:30.
Okay.
Just for everyone's information, there are standard things on here that obviously are not pertinent to today, such as approval of minutes, since this is our first meeting. But I have that on the agenda because it's a standard item. But we obviously are not going to be doing that today. And while we don't, under reports of the board where it says supplement to written reports, that again, it's a standard item. This meeting, we obviously don't have written reports, so it would only be supplements.
Does anybody have anything that they want to add to the agenda?
Yeah, I'd like to add adoption of an official LPCO event hosted here in open mic night, and it would be on the last Friday of the month.
Every month?
Every month. Preliminary for the first 2 months at the end of June and July. We haven't confirmed with the Independence Institute yet, but we are on the books if we adopt this to have an open mic night.
Okay, I added that as 13.12.
Okay, that's on there already.
If there's no objection, I was waiting for you to.
Thank you. Any other additions?
Wait, is there an objection to adding that?
Any objections to Ryan's motion? It's been a while since I've.
I know. I'm trying to hint, hint.
Okay, hearing no objections, we will add that to our new business. Tara is going to be here at 7:30, and obviously we're nowhere near 7:30, so I think we need to move to suspend the rules to change the order. And we will insert her
Mr.
at
Chair.
7:30. Yes.
I put it down as a special order, which means when 7:30 hits, it comes up. It's not changing the agenda. I was guessing how long it would take to do the first items, but no suspension of the rules needed. We could proceed to reports from affiliate representatives, and then once 7:30 hits, because it's a special order, we would immediately hear from Tara.
Okay. We don't need to approve the minutes because we have none. Reports from affiliate representatives. We have anybody from Arapahoe here?
It's Tara.
Yes, this is Josh.
Go ahead, Josh.
Yes, so we had our monthly meeting this past Tuesday at Rancho Allegra, and we had talked about what people want to see out of Arapahoe County. It was a good talk, and our next meeting will be on July 13th at Rancho Allegra off of Chambers and Alameda Parkway. So please come. It starts at 6:30.
Thank you, Josh. We don't have anybody from Boulder here. Or Delta. Denver.
The Libertarian Party of Denver will be holding their next meetup tomorrow night, the 15th, at 6:30 to 8:30 at Brew Bar in Denver. We will also be holding our quarterly board meeting starting at 8.
Where is Rhubarb?
It's off I-25 at Park Avenue.
Park Avenue, okay. All right, anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Douglas, I don't really have a lot to talk about other than the fact that I think we finally found a new meeting spot. We have secured a place called the Hideaway Bar and Grill in downtown Castle Rock. I wanted to be closer to Highlands Ranch area, but there was nothing up there that could accommodate us. So it looks like right now, and the Facebook notifications have gone out already, and the Hideaway Bar and Grill, that's the first Thursday of every month. El Paso.
Who do I yell at? You?
Start here.
Okay. John Jersman, El Paso County affiliate rep. A while back, Ed Duffett resigned as our vice chair, and we recently appointed Greg Lauer as interim vice chair. We went to one Tanner gun show in the Springs, and we're signed up for another this year in the Springs. I'm trying to get hooked up with a Colorado Gun Collectors Association show. They're $150 a table, so we're trying to get in early and for half price. If that happens, we can do it.
When do you have to make a decision on that one?
Well, I'm trying to get a hold of them. I haven't seen what the deadline is for the half price thing. And we're having a bylaws committee meeting tomorrow at 12:30 somewhere.
12:30?
Yeah, I think it's at Judy Darcy's house.
Okay.
That's it.
Jefferson, go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, I'm Ross, chair of the Jefferson County affiliate. Our next meeting is Thursday on the 17th, and that's going to be at Clement Park, which is just east of Southwest Plaza Mall. And our guest speaker is going to be Thomas Cornwell, and our topic is going to be, we're going to be discussing occupational licenses and how they both hurt the economy and small businesses. So that's going to be our main topic. For July, we're going to have Spike Cohen as our guest.
Nice.
And one other quick legislative update. There's some idiotic permit requirements at the county right now that we're trying to get reversed. The first one is mini structures. The second one is fences. And then the third one's the dumbest, and that is wet bars. So we're working on those. Hopefully that'll be done by the end of this year. I'm in contact with their planning director and planners that all want to get that thing, all want to get those removed. So that's good news that there's a lot of staff support to remove those. But I'll be around if you have any other questions.
Thank you, Ross. Do we have anybody online from Mesa County, Mike?
I think so. Is anyone from Mesa County on the call?
Okay. Anybody from Pueblo? How about online?
Pueblo?
Okay. Next, we'll go to the reports from the LNC representatives. We'll start with Ms. Harlows, National Secretary.
Oh boy, I had nothing as of Friday, and now I'm taking a meeting. Welcome to hell. As many of you know, a huge issue has broken out regarding the New Hampshire affiliate. While I am open to receiving new information and changing my mind, as I think we should always be throughout the entirety of our lives, including even the truthfulness of libertarianism. I think we should always be open to hearing from other people on absolutely everything. I have at this point, with what I've looked at, arrived at a pretty strong opinion that I think the National Party, and when I say the National Party, if any one person on the LNC engages in something, it's imputed to the entire LNC until the entire LNC repudiates it. So when I say that, I don't mean every single person. I could just mean one person. A lot of people have gotten very upset about me saying that, but that's basic agency. So at this point, I think the has engaged in gross malfeasance, in my opinion. Investigation is still ongoing. It appears to me that basically a transfer of affiliation was done from one group to another without LNC authorization. That may turn out not to be the fact because we have not yet heard from the party chair. So there is a lot of inferences because we have not heard from the party chair. That's his choice to remain silent. But inference will happen as long as that happens. We have an executive committee meeting tomorrow, which will be open to the public. I will post it to the board, the link. I encourage everyone to come and watch because this directly impacts Colorado. The situation in New Hampshire is scarily parallel to here. What happened in New Hampshire is you had a complete replacement of the board with a group that some people don't like. Particularly, they're targeting the Mises Caucus. I'm not going to mince words. That has happened here. If the National Party sees fit to just go ahead and side with a group that's pissed off that they lost at convention, they could do that here. So my passion on this subject is fueled a lot by the fact that I do see a metaphorical gun pointed at Colorado. And a lot of you do not know, but I originally ran for the LNC in 2016 for one reason and one reason alone, to protect Colorado from what I saw the LNC did to Oregon. And this is Oregon all over again. So that is my motivation. I protect New Hampshire because in protecting New Hampshire, I'm protecting Colorado by proxy. Others may disagree, and I'm open to questions on this issue.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I guess the only real question I have is
recognized.
A little bit of I guess, more background information on where the LNC is, like what action was taken to interfere with New Hampshire. This is the first I've heard of any of this.
I know, and I hate to tell you this, I'll give you a very brief summary, but I did a 2-hour video on it, and I know 2 hours sounds like a long time, but that actually is the short version.
Could I get the link?
But the short version is that the chair that was duly elected at convention in March decided to summarily discharge the entire rest of the board without authorization in the bylaws, and constitute a new board, write entirely new bylaws without a convention, write entirely new platform without a convention, and register with the state of New Hampshire as the new Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, and asked the LNC chair to write a letter saying her organization was the legitimate one, and he did. Now, there is some room for interpretation in the chair's letter, but I don't believe in lawyering things up. You know, you shouldn't have to do that. Things should be pretty plain on their face. And I did interviews with all of the related parties, and I do think everyone knew what was going on. So until the chair speaks, and he may have a great defense, and I may change my mind 180 degrees, but until the chair speaks, it seems to me, and Gilletta Jarvis, the chair of New Hampshire, told me it was her understanding that the LNC chair transferred affiliation from the affiliate that's been there for decades to her new affiliate. And there was never an LNC vote on that. That's not how things work. We would have had to have disaffiliated the old one and reaffiliated the new one. And even if we did that, that's not how reaffiliation works. When the LNC disaffiliates an affiliate, they take a poll of all of the national members in that state. They send out a ballot and ask them who they want to affiliate with. We don't just unilaterally pick some group. That's not how it works. We have disaffiliated people before, Arizona most recently. So none of this is how it works. And the fact is, all of this happened on Monday. The entire LNC was together in person that weekend, and the chair didn't say a word to any of us. Not even the officers. I think he should have spoken to the LNC, but at a minimum, the officers. We all found out about it on social media. So that's the short story. But if you want the nitty gritty, I did 2-hour video on my Pink Flame of Liberty channel.
Is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. And
Subscribe to
just
that.
because everyone's requiring me to be a lawyer and put disclaimer upon disclaimer, my Pink Flame of Liberty channel is my personal opinion, not my opinion as LNC secretary, and the Surgeon General warns it might be harmful to your health.
Some assembly required, batteries not included.
Yeah. Whatever other disclaimer, lawyer, copyright, trademark.
How do we get recognized virtually?
Who wants to know how they get recognized virtually?
Mike, can you see hand raise?
I don't think that Google Meet has that.
Okay, please interrupt and then tell us who you are.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, Andrew Bogovich. I just was wondering, Karen Ann, you said that like, what could possibly be the defense of this? You said that unless there are things happen that it, like the chair has not elected to comment on publicly, what could he possibly have done to end run a vote?
I can't think of anything, which is why I do have such a strong opinion. But I also, and to quote a proverb, not to get all religious on people, but there is a proverb that says, one man seems right until another argues his case. So I do want to hear him argue his case. I think he should have done that already because the entire party is in turmoil. I think he should have released a public statement, and I think it's grossly irresponsible that he didn't, but that's his prerogative. I expect he'll be giving a statement at the executive committee meeting.
Any other questions for Ms. Harlows?
May I ask a question? When did
Do
this
we have objection from anybody here? Go ahead, Frank.
When did this all happen?
That is a good question. I found out about it while I was in the middle of doing parliamentary duties on Saturday at the Florida convention. That's when the entire LNC found out about it. Apparently the letter to Ms. Jarvis was signed by the LNC chair on June 7th. And the justification for the letter allegedly was some improper expulsion of a member in New Hampshire, which isn't our business. But that expulsion didn't happen until June 8th. So I would like to inspect the crystal ball that somebody had on June 7th.
Thank you.
And it is very likely that that member was expelled improperly, but that has nothing to do with the National Party. That's not our business. She can appeal to their judicial committee.
Question.
Go ahead.
Ryan Kane Outreach, who was the individual that had admin access to the city CRM that locked out New Hampshire out of their data and website? And what administrative role does he have over Colorado's data and website?
I don't know that. That's a staff thing where we don't micromanage staff, so I can make some guesses, but that wouldn't be fair. It's a staff member.
Does the same member have admin privileges over Colorado's data and tech stack?
Yes, but that staff member would not act independently. They would either be directed by the executive director or the party chair.
Did that member make a statement in emails that he acted independently?
No, but I would think it pretty improper for a staff member to be commenting on an internal L&C dispute. So I haven't heard anything from staff, but I think that's the right way for staff to behave.
There will be significantly more information forthcoming.
Tomorrow night, a lot more will happen. Friday night, there's a full electronic L&C meeting.
So we'll have more information for you, Ryan, here by the end of the year.
Chair, may I be recognized?
Go ahead.
Is there a contract governing data and access, or is it just kind of like we fly by the seat of our pants and we give whoever, like the LNC gives whoever they feel necessary on staff administrative privileges to manage the CRM and all the data?
I'm going to pass that question to David Atkin. David, can you respond to that?
Wayne, David, do you feel comfortable, because you have two roles here, both as a staff member and something here in Colorado, and please don't answer if you don't feel comfortable as a staff member. Wayne, that is putting David in a very bad position.
I can answer from a staff perspective because it's pretty black and white.
Hold on, who's this?
This Tara DeSisto?
I won't interrupt your meeting too much, but
It's Tara DeSisto.
If it's okay, the state chair actually makes the call, and that's the differential point here. It was the state chair that eliminated the access. It wasn't the staff member, and so the staff member is waiting for the judicial process to occur through the LNC and through the state party, and is not reacting in any way, shape, or form, because this really needs to be adjudicated through the committees themselves. So that staff member is making no calls whatsoever.
Yeah, I really want to be careful here that we're not, staff is completely blameless here, in my opinion. However, I do think the LNC chair should and can direct staff to flip the switch on that webpage so that nobody has access until this is adjudicated. I think that would be the best of a bad situation. However, that's the chair's decision. Staff cannot unilaterally do that.
Thank you, Tara.
I'm sorry, can I just make a quick request? Obviously, this is still an ongoing thing, but as a state party, I would appreciate it if we had a public statement addressing the issue once we have all the pertinent details.
Yeah. It is on the...
It's on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Ms. Harlows?
No, not unless anyone has anything.
We have on the agenda, and this will be recurring, the Region 1 representatives. We did not make an invite for this
Point of
meeting.
order, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
We do have the special thing at 7:30. It's now 7:35, and we do have our special guest here.
Ooh, you caught me.
Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Okay. Terry, you want to go ahead and take the floor? Are you ready?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for letting me interrupt your meeting. Those of you who did not meet me at your convention, I had a really fantastic time at your convention with you. I am the Director of Development at National. My job is to fundraise across the country, bring in major donors, and also run our appeals and stewardship programs, as well as grow this party. Membership sits underneath me as well. So I'm very excited to announce that the 50th, I'm sure you've all heard, the 50th anniversary of the party is going to be taking place in Denver on August 27th and 28th. We're super excited about it. The venue that we've chosen is the Lake House at Cherry Creek. We have already sold over 100 tickets. We've almost paid for the entire event through ticket sales. We have a capacity of 800. It is a celebration, not a talking heads event. We're not going to have a lot of grandiose speeches. We're hiring musicians. I'm looking at the band that played at your gala, as well as there's an Eagles tribute band that we're playing with. There's a gun range on site. There is opportunities for jet ski rentals, boat rentals. We're going to have axe throwing. The Historic Preservation Committee is going to have a tent with artifacts, historical artifacts of the party. There will be a silent auction. It's just going to be a really fantastic event. There's 2 tiers of the event. There's a VIP level, and there is a general admission level. The general admission level will have the opportunity to purchase some of the activities a la carte that they want to do, and the VIPs will get all access to all of the amenities. They will have to rent boats and jet skis separate from their ticket, however. I would love to partner with LP Colorado on this event. I would love for the affiliate to get some exposure in a really positive light. Miss Harlos and I have spoken about this in opportunities over. We've been talking about this since last year. National has been planning this event, and we're very, very excited about it. So way back when, we kind of talked about the different ways that LP Colorado could be involved, and one thing that was mentioned was that there are going to be several hotels in the area where people are buying tickets, and it would be fantastic if LP Colorado could sponsor a shuttle that ran to those hotels. So that people could come and go. We wouldn't have to worry about drinking and driving. People would feel like they could, wander around. They could go to different hotels, their friends' hotels, whatever. But that is just an idea. We do have to kind of move on this stuff fast because it's already mid-June and the event is the end of August. Another thing that was mentioned was an individual from Boulder County had approached me about making this a sustainable event, and I said that that I would embrace that, and but that really had to be driven by the affiliate, and so you would have to choose to do that. So I'm interested to know what sustainable kinds of ways that your state affiliate would like to partner together with National on this event. And this is a really upbeat, positive event. This is a really, we want to solidify libertarianism in people. We want to celebrate with people the 50 years of success that we've achieved. And so we want to keep the energy super high and just, have a really great bonding experience together. I think it's important for the party. It's important for the growth of the party. And anybody that's willing to work with me from LP Colorado, I'm interested in your ideas.
Tara, this is Wayne Harlos. First question I have, when you say it would be advantageous for us to come up with a shuttle, are you talking about a shuttle from the hotel to the event or from the airport?
Yes, not from the airport. No, people would have to get to the airport themselves. I'm talking about, so the event is Friday and Saturday, And I'm just talking about shuttling people from their hotels to the venue because it is a little bit of a drive. It's not too much. It's like a mile, 2 miles from each of the hotels that we're advertising on the website right now. But we just want to give an opportunity for people to come and go because it is an all-day event on Saturday specifically.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of Tara? Thank you, Tara. We will be in touch with you shortly.
I would love to hear from you. Thank you for having me today, and I look forward to working together on this. Please do email if you have any questions.
What was that?
I think someone had left their mic on.
Is that you, Nathan, on the phone call?
Are you okay?
Yeah. Did you mute your phone when you're not speaking?
You were live.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Tara. Yes.
What was the estimated cost for the sponsorship?
Oh, you need to reach Tara, out to Tara for that, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Tara.desisto@lphq.org.
Okay.
Tara, T-A-R-A, dot D-E-S-I-S-T-O at lphq.org. She'd be glad to take your money.
Okay.
You were explaining that in the future we would invite Mr. Warren.
Yes, in the future, we will be given an invitation to our Region 1 representatives. Francis Wendt is the primary representative. Mr. Lucchini is his alternative, and we will be reaching out to them in the future and give them an opportunity to speak so that you all are kept up to speed with what's happening with the regional area. And, but we didn't do that tonight, but that is coming up. Yes.
This is a dumb question. I don't know what does that mean, regions?
Okay. The country is broken down into, I think it's 5 or 6 regions? 8 regions. And we are Region 1, which is, I believe, 10 states now.
12.
Yeah, I've been away from it for a couple of years, so that's changed. But anyhow, each region has a representative that represents that region on the LNC. And so they are the first person that we go to whenever we have a concern or a need or something like that. And they can help provide information that we may have questions for. And we've never had on our agenda an opportunity for the regional rep other than when Karen Ann was regional rep. And she was already here. So we didn't have a special speaking spot for her at that point. David, you had a question?
Just to let you know that there is Region 1 training in Salt Lake City on July 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Something like that, yeah.
And I don't know what's on the agenda, but it's a good chance to meet people and hang out and learn some stuff.
I'm sure we'll be notified of that as well.
I can send that info to the board, and it's training. There's a affiliate development track and a candidate track, and both of them seem like they're excellent. I'll send the info out to the board.
Thank you. Did that answer your questions? Okay. All right. Board reports. We're just going to have formal board reports right now because we don't have written. As of next month, you'll be required to put a written board report to basically tell everybody what you've been up to. Include all of your LP-related activities, whether you go to an affiliate meeting or whether you go to an outreach event. Anything that you do should be on your board report. You can all access your predecessor's board reports in the drive. And that will give you at least a starting point. And the longer you're in your seat, of course, you'll have more opportunity to flower those up a little bit and make them more complete. But It's really important that you have your board report completed the Wednesday before our next meeting. David puts all the board reports up on the website, and if we don't have the reports done, he can't do that. And then he's pulling his hair out. He's been doing that for many years. But,
Only in one spot.
yes. But our board members have continuously given him grief by not getting the reports in on time. So I would encourage everybody, make sure your written reports are in on time. If you need help with them, give me a call. But the easiest place to find a template, if you will, is to look at your predecessor's board report. Right now, Daniel's been on the board before, so he already knows the drill on this. Karen Ann, of course, I've been on the board before. Josh Lamont, he's been on the board before. So those of you that are new, don't be shy about calling me if you have a question. I'll help you as much as I can, but read your predecessor's board reports first. And not just the immediate predecessor, go back a couple. Because frankly, some of the people that were on the board the last 2 years were brand new. And they really didn't have a template for their board reports. So if you go back to their predecessor, you might get a bigger picture. All right. Basically what I've been doing is just trying to make contact with everybody and try to get some rapport established. We've been involved in a couple things. We had a gun show that the state board participated in. It was actually an El Paso event, but we helped staff the booth, and we got the supplies down to them. Actually, John brought the supplies back to me today. I have them in the trailer right now at my house. Okay. I'm looking at you because I need to get that trailer out of there. We also had our first planning meeting, and I think that went very well. We will not do it at that location again because that was a mess. So we'll find a better location somewhere where it's more quiet, even if we have to go to a library. I don't care. I know everybody likes to eat and have a drink, but we can't have the noise that we put up with last time. It just didn't work for us. So, but I thought it was a very good meeting, and I was very pleased with it. That's all I have. Vice Chair, Hannah?
Yes.
Go ahead and tell us what you've been up to.
I've been figuring out how to work Google Drive and going back through my predecessor, but I've also been going through the continuity binders and a few other things, different reports and stuff from all the other directors to get a feel for each of the jobs to do. After today, I have to start meeting with each individual board member to go over the continuity binder.
Tell me when you're ready, Hannah, and then give me a call, and we'll put it on the calendar and we'll get together.
Okay, perfect. Oh, and I mean, I attended and chaired, I do a meeting for my development group every month, so I did that in between our board planning commission and this meeting here.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer, Nathan, can you hear us?
I'm here, can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Let's
Just,
see.
I know you downloaded something to our drive. I haven't had a chance to review it, but if you give us a quick verbal right now, that would be appreciated.
Sure. All right, so as of today, we have a PayPal balance of $37.49 and 38 cents. We have a bank account balance of $40,967 and 37 cents. Our Stripe balance is 27.
Nathan, have all the convention expenses been paid already?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yes. Yes, I would agree with yes. You can probably ask John, but I'm pretty sure most definitely. Our undeposited funds are still $87. We have a $18 difference in the positive versus last month. And we're for a total balance of $47,637.33. So since our last meeting, let's see, so I'm going to be running for Manitou Springs School Board, and I'm starting a Libertarian group here in Manitou. I've been speaking with the owner of a really friendly Libertarian bar here in Manitou, and he said he's going to get back with me on dates that he can accommodate it.
Beautiful.
And aside for that, that's it.
Any questions of Nathan? Okay, Secretary.
Okay, what I've been doing is trying to come up with some procedures. Obviously, I did the agenda procedure. And I'm gonna be working on more of those sorts of things, including setting up a OneNote in the same way that we do it on national. In other words, I'm going to be importing, at least on a scale down to our use, a lot of the professional secretarial procedures we do at the national level, but to Colorado scaled for our use. And one thing I wanted to add to you guys about your reports, I want to give you a hint on how to make sure you have them on time and they don't overwhelm you. Immediately after today's meeting, open a document and start your template for your next report. And as you do things, write it down. Because scrambling on that Wednesday is hell. And and I found when I started doing that for my national report, because my national report can sometimes take 8 hours to write, that it makes it easy. Just put it into your report as you do it, and then Wednesday you'll have almost a complete document to shoot off to David, and it will not be stressful, and you'll find that you'll enjoy it much better. And that's pretty much it.
Any questions of Kieran? Thank you. Affiliates. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things I did was I tried to track down kind of the current status of all of our affiliates, because there wasn't necessarily exactly accurate information available. It seems that we have 9 active affiliates currently. There were 2 development groups holding meetings prior, and then we've got 14 other county contacts, but none of those groups seem to be active in any way, from what I can tell. I guess I was in contact with Adam Schucknecht about starting a Grand County or a regional group up in that area. He's most likely going to try to combine with a couple different counties in that region. I guess I've also gotten about roughly like 95% done with kind of a rough draft of a business plan, so I'm going to need to talk to you pretty soon about kind of finalizing that. And then, let's see, I guess next I'll also be reaching out to each chair and development group contact to kind of verify their current status, as well as working on building my committee, and I'll need at least a few volunteers to help.
And now's the time to find the volunteers, because it's time to get on the phone. You need to find people that are active in each and every county. If it's a very sparsely populated county, we have to do something with several counties combined. But you've got to find people where they live, and then get them working, and get these groups built. Because this is something that I had a real deep passion for, and when I started the Douglas County group with Karen Ann's help, we started with nothing. And it's been very fulfilling and a lot of fun. And we really feel as though we were represented by the state party at that point. So I want to give everybody that same opportunity to feel as though they're represented. So thank you, Kyle. Any questions of Kyle? Okay. Next we have campaigns. That's Greg.
All right, just to keep everything at kind of a high level. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah.
Keep things at kind of a high level. I've gone through the continuity binder. I got in hard copy and then found a different, much more expansive continuity binder on the Google Drive. So I've gone through both of those, started the process of reaching out to everyone I could find in City CRM who was identified as a candidate either in 2020 or 2018, starting the process on seeing if they would be interested in running again in 2022, and seeing if I can gather some intel from boots on the ground type folks on whether they think they would be in a position to make a real dent in the standard two-party system, or if they believe they're just making sure we have name recognition on the ballot. So far, we've had a couple folks identify as being willing to and ready to jump in for another campaign and throw some energy and some time and some gumption behind there, and then give me a list of who they would need for volunteers in terms of skill sets. So I'll be this week, this weekend next, starting to put out the call for volunteers with those skill sets so we can get going on those campaigns. For my own personal campaign, I'll be declaring officially that I'm running for mayor for City of Fountain when I get back home. And we've got two city council candidates, one in Aurora and one in Broomfield that I've spoken to, Mr. Hamilton in Aurora and Mr. Piotr for Broomfield. Both are very, very solid, liberty-minded folks, libertarians, and I believe we got a chance to win those seats in both of those cities with their own activity as well, of course. And then I believe they make a tremendous dent in both of their cities. I've got a whole bunch of other things I've done here and there along the way, but I'm going to go and save those for my first official in-print report, if that's okay.
Any questions of Greg?
What city is he running for mayor in?
Fountain, just south of Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs is my biggest suburb.
David?
Point of information, Greg, you should reach out to Alan Heyman, who was very much involved in getting candidates last time. He's got a wealth of data that you would find helpful.
Yes, sir. We've had one conversation, and I know he is just waiting for me to get him for the next 3 or 4 conversations. And I appreciate you pointing me in his direction. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Greg. Communications.
Yes. So I would just like to say that for our convention, we got really good press coverage among the local media, especially after a conversation I had with Andy McKean. I was able to get Dr. George Jorgensen on the Ross Kaminsky show on Friday, and the Denver Post was at the convention on Saturday talking to people and interviewing George Jorgensen. And then I got a lot of good volunteers to helping out with Twitter, and it's really gaining steam. So a lot of good results came out of the convention.
Any questions of Josh?
I have one.
Go ahead.
How much are we up on the Twitter account, Josh?
Like 1,000 people.
Yeah, we're up 20.
Yeah.
We're up a full 20% since convention.
Yeah. So
Nice. That's nice growth.
it's great.
Any objections to Mr. Seebeck asking a question? Hearing none, go ahead.
Hey Josh, this is Mike. Did the Denver Post ever run an article about the convention at all?
I did not see one, but I'm not a subscriber to them, so I may have missed it, but
Okay, I didn't see it either, that's why I was wondering.
But Ross Kaminsky's radio interview is up on his Facebook page, so if anyone wants to see that.
Thanks. Okay. David?
It's my understanding that the Denver Post is planning an article on our 50th.
Good.
I was interviewed by, I can't think of his name, John somebody at the Denver Post, and he also talked
John
to-
Murray?
Yeah, I think that was it. And he also talked to M.L. Hansen, who was involved back before I was.
Okay. We have a question here.
I just have a
We have an
comment.
objection here. Go ahead.
I'd just like you to send out a thank you letter to Ross Kaminsky. I was the one that set that up with Josh. Ross has had me on his show many times. I think it would be nice if the party sent a letter to him, thanking him for covering Joe Jorgensen. I think it never hurts to keep thanking people.
Sure.
I think if the Denver Post does something, David, even if they haven't done one, thank them for considering it. Thanks never hurts. One thing I want to try to make more friends with these newspaper people and radio people, and I have other contacts I could share. You know, Kim Munson, Stephen Tubbs, some of you might know these people, Dan Kaplan, Randy Corcoran. There's a lot of shows out there in the radio that you guys can get publicity. I think we need it. We need some competition out there.
Thank you. Anything else, Josh?
That's it.
Fundraising, Mr. Lutz.
At the planning meeting, we raised $87, and I'll put all of this in writing in next month's board report too, as kind of a backlog of it. By next board meeting, I should be caught up on the quarterly thank yous. I want to have everything kind of laid out in brackets on what level of donation we'll get, you know, what thank you and all that by then as well. But at a minimal, emails should start going out to those who have donated at least once per quarter. And I'm also hoping to have my call for volunteers completed and submitted for the newsletter and electronic distribution by then as well. I did a little bit more research into the movie nights. It looks like it's going to be anywhere between $100 to $200 if we don't want to charge admission, or a 60-40 split where we keep 60%, they keep 40%, the licensing company, if we want to do something like that. So it could potentially be a decent moneymaker for us, something to pull off once, twice a year kind of deal. I kind of revamped my whole thing about the Star Trek party, because there seemed like a lot of licensing and trademark issues. And as much as I love the Trekverse, yeah, so I'm thinking about trying to switch it to a into summer themed pirate party, but we're gonna have to work on location and all that kind of stuff. By next board meeting, I'm hoping to have some more firmed up details and maybe even some stuff to vote on by then. Speaking of, for convention, I already want to get started working on that. And in order to do that, in order to start going to these hotels, I need to be able to tell them I have money and I'm not showing them my personal bank account. So, Mr. Chair, I would like to move that fundraising be given a $10,000 budget for convention so that we can begin locking on hotels and locking on some of the other stuff with expenses. None of this money actually has to be spent yet. We just have to say we have set it aside, we've earmarked it, it's for you if you need it. It's like a bar guarantee, if anyone knows what that is.
Daniel just made a motion while giving his monthly report, which is an appropriate place to do that. His motion is for us to set $10,000 aside for the hotel deposit for next year's convention. Do we have a second?
Well, I'm going to second for discussion purposes. Second doesn't always mean you approve.
Right. You want to speak to us further, Daniel?
Yes. So ultimately, the goal is that this money will never, ever be touched. What we make in selling tickets, what we make in basically all of our pre-sales and all of the fundraising around it is what should go to pay for everything. But this allows us, when we go to these hotels and we go to contract with them, when they say, hey, we need guarantees, like most private businesses, that guarantee has to be backed up with some kind of cash. When I was doing this kind of stuff for the federal government, it was a lot easier because we could just say, okay, we'll take it from the taxpayers, don't worry. Someone's got your money. This time we will have to have something a little bit more concrete, and showing them that we have earmarked this aside for those expenses will give us the leverage that we need to start negotiations.
Yeah, can I speak to that?
One moment. Any other board members want to speak to this?
Well, I
No
don't mind
questions?
hearing from Mr. Hirschman first.
Okay. Mr. Hirsch. Nathan? you-
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay.
Nathan,
that's back.
can you tell us how much money is set aside in the convention budget?
This one. Right now it's only $757.77.
Okay, John just said that he's been putting $1,000 into that fund. Is that not happening right now?
Yeah. Hang on. I was thinking of the convention fund. John, can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I not thinking of the right term to look in?
May I?
Yes, please, John.
No, that's right, and, oh, true. And since we're putting $1,000 a month in, it builds up toward, nearly $12,000 at convention time. And I'd like to point out that it's not a real earmark. It's sort of an artificial earmark that I just decided would be a good idea. But because nobody has actually said this money is for this purpose, it's really part of the general fund. It was just sort of a strategy on my part to set this aside. And you're just starting, that's why it's only $700.
Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you, Nathan. Jennifer?
So I just have a general question, like before we would get to any kind of one-off budget questions, is there going to be some time where we all vote on an overall budget?
Yes, Nathan is working on a budget as we speak.
Okay, so would it make sense to table any questions like that until we have a working budget in place?
In my opinion, yes. Daniel, I don't think you have to have the promise yet, but I think the first priority, as Karen Ann alluded to, was to get a convention committee together and get you and a couple other people to go with you as you go shopping for hotels. Once we find a place that looks good, then we can move money around and get them a deposit right away. That's what we've done in the past. But of course, I think that will also tie in with the budget that Nathan is working on as we speak. Karen?
One is a point of parliamentary procedure.
Okay.
And second, I'm going to have a substitute motion.
Okay.
My point of parliamentary pet peeve procedure, please, the word table probably will never be properly used in 10 years of being on meetings. Just please. It's postponed definitely, postpone indefinitely. When you table something, it comes back up at the same meeting. It means like, there's a fire alarm, we need to go out for a few minutes, we're gonna table this so we can handle this emergency. Just, it's my pet peeve, and I go like this every time.
So what's the correct?
Postpone.
Postpone.
Okay. Postpone definitely.
Okay, thank you.
So just so education, but the substitute I would have to Mr. Lutz's motion is that we instruct the treasurer to continue the practice of informally setting aside $1,000 a month until such time as a convention committee is seated and can come to us with a more formal request after they've gathered some information about hotels.
Okay. Mr. King?
Question for maybe the treasurer, but I'm sure everyone knows. What was our revenue from the convention this year? What was the cost? And do we know that for the last couple years, maybe 2 or 3 years?
last year, we're not gonna have much of an idea because we didn't have.
It was a
full
weird year,
convention.
so we can ignore that
Two
one, but
years
you
ago
know
we did.
2019.
John, do you have those numbers off the top of your head?
Would they be in the?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I was thinking that I brought in around 21 or 22,000. So this is just paraphrase. This is not accurate. I'm not looking at a piece of paper or anything. I'm going to the top of my head. So I'm thinking I brought in 22,000 after it was all said and done, after everything was all paid. So I believe it was a profit. We made a profit off of it. Is that correct, John? Does that seem right?
Matt?
Yes, please.
You had negative money in the convention sub account until you put in June 1st $1,000. That's because all the $12,000 that got put in there got spent plus a little more. And I think you're right. It's around 22,000 that was grossed, but we spent pretty close to that. But the numbers are in that financial, in the convention stuff. There's an Excel file with the details.
I have your May 17th report in my hand. If you want me to go off on it.
It's not in. I think it's in that. I don't think it's in my annual report, but it's in or it might be. I forget. But it's definitely in the convention financials, which is an Excel sheet.
I will say in your report it says available funds have increased 19,600 since the last annual report.
Yeah.
That could be from not spending money for a fiscal year like 2020.
That's exactly what
I'm curious
that's
what our
correct.
rate of return is for these conventions. And I'll just say, if we're spending all of our revenue on donations to break even at a convention once a year, that is like a really silly use of your funds.
So, Ms. Harless, would you restate your motion?
When you started your sentence, it cut out. Can you repeat it?
I'm asking Ms. Harless to restate her motion, Nathan.
But I had one thing I had my hand raised about the convention funds thing.
Hello?
Go ahead.
I don't think he can hear.
Can you hear us?
Oh. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
It went out. The microphone's back.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
I know
hear
this year we made money thanks to Betty Rose and team. The year prior, obviously COVID, that didn't count. The year prior to that, we lost money because of a lot of different issues and a whole new convention committee having to be seated at the last minute, who scrambled that we didn't lose our shirt. So it was a success, but we didn't make money. I think we lost about $2,000. So that was just the information. I don't like assuming we're going to, I know, again, here's another thing where people radically disagree with me, and that's okay, that the convention's gonna be some big money maker. My attitude has always been that the convention is there to do the business that we're required to do under the bylaws, and if we break even, it's a success. Again, minority report here. But we did this time make, from what I understand, a pretty good amount of money, again, thanks to the efforts of Betty Rose and her committee.
Okay, Jennifer?
Just as a sheer curiosity, do minor parties speak in terms of profit or revenue?
Revenue, I would think. I don't know.
Just curious.
Okay, so you wanted me to restate my substitute? 1 second. I moved for the treasurer to continue the practice of informally setting aside $1,000 a month for the yearly convention until such time as there is a convention committee seated with a more concrete proposal for a formal set aside.
You have a second on that?
Seconded.
Okay. You want to speak to that any further, Karen? Anybody else? Daniel?
Speaking actually against this into my original motion. Having done contract negotiations like this before, if I go in there, or a member of my committee goes in there, and we start talking about particulars, and they go, well, you know, what kind of budget are you working with? I'm going to go, I don't know. I've lost credibility. I've lost professionalism. I've lost face. I no longer have the same negotiating position that I had. If I look at them and go, I've got a budget, I've got about a 10K budget. Now they know they're at least working with someone who is serious. And now I've also got a position that I can kind of argue with them down the price. Because if they're trying to up the price, I can go, hey, look, this is what they've already set for me. I highly doubt they'll go above that. If there's no ceiling set, if there's no budget, if they take me seriously after that, which they'll probably still listen to me, but they're looking at a free fish, basically.
Okay, Kyle?
Would this be something that could wait until we have an actual budget in place, or is this something that needs to be worked on immediately in terms of starting to negotiate?
I would not want to delay this any longer than 1 month, because anything longer than that, and now we're behind entirely on planning for convention. Because if we don't have basically ticket rollout 6 months out from convention, which is not very far from now, I believe it's sometime between December and April that we have to hold our convention. If we don't have ticket rollout at least 6 months before, we are losing people every single day that we're not selling tickets.
Yes, John, go ahead.
I don't believe we spent $10,000 on any hotel. The total expenses for all the speakers and flights and all that stuff, of course, are up, you know, close to 20,000. But if you tell a hotel you got a $10,000 budget, they're going to, oh, okay, how can we charge you $10,000? Might be better to look at what we've been paying for the hotels for the previous several years and kind of.
Well, that's what Betty Rose. That's down. She told me 12,000 is what I should. Yeah, is what I should ask for, and I went down $2,000. So.
Well, you can ask you can ask the board for it, but I wouldn't tell. I'm just saying I wouldn't tell the hotel.
Well, no, and obviously during a negotiations as well, you know, I'm not just going to sit there and lay my whole hand on the table. But for examples purposes, yes, no, to be able to say that yes, I have a budget, I have a set amount, it is set aside, it is meant for this. They know they're at least, it's like walking into a used car dealership with a handful of cash instead of a note from your uncle saying, hey, I'll buy you a car.
I will say that we had a reserve of $13,222 prior to the convention, saved just for it.
In the past, when I was chair before, I negotiated with both the hotel up in Broomfield as well as the hotel in Thornton. And we went out and found the hotel that we liked first. And then we sat down with them and negotiated the price. After we negotiated the price, then they told us, well, we need a deposit for, I think it was 50%, or whatever it was, I don't recall. We simply, at that point, got an approval from the board and got a check to them right away. And that's the way we did it in the past. And I didn't get any pushback at all by not saying I got $10,000 cash, but you could, I think reasonably you could say to them, well, we've spent around $10,000 the last couple of years. But we want to see if we like you first. So, you know, go around and look at several hotels and find one that you think will accommodate us in the best and most graceful manner. And then we can talk about more details. But I think if you just said, well, in the past we've spent about $10,000, $12,000 for our convention. I think that would be reasonable without saying, I promise you that we're going to have that. We have it in the bank right now, so we're fine on that. David?
Seems to me that because we have this policy of setting aside $1,000 per month, that is enough of a guarantee that the hotel should be comfortable.
Well, I'm willing to withdraw this motion for this meeting, at least until we can start. I'll start reaching out to hotels as I planned, see what reactions I get.
Going too, Daniel, and get that ball rolling. And so we still have a motion on the table, Karen Ann's motion, and we had a second on that.
Wait, let's stop a second. A substitute is actually considered an amendment to his original motion. They're tied together. They do not exist independently. He can't withdraw his motion, but what we can do is postpone until the next board meeting. If I believe that was the motion you had wanted to make originally.
I may have accidentally. Sure, yes.
That's fine by me. Do we have a motion to postpone until next month?
I move to postpone that motion until next month.
Second.
Any objection? Hearing none, that passes, and that will go into the unfinished business for next month.
And then, point of information, would this also be an appropriate place to consider a motion for, well, I probably should have actually been outreach, but the Constitution booklets.
I have no issue with taking that up right now. I know that our guests would probably like to go home, so I think that would be appropriate at this time. Specifically, what is your motion, Dana?
I move that we purchase 250 of these Constitution booklets for our outreach trailer. They were incredibly popular at the Tanner Gun Show down in El Paso. We had some of the leather-bound, or not leather, but like the synth leather ones from Cato, and people were jumping all over those. And I've seen these at booths before. They are incredibly popular, and especially more and more, a lot of the youth and people who are getting interested in politics are actually getting interested in the formation of this country and the founding documents. And I think it'd be good if we're the ones who are providing them the sources.
Okay. Daniel has made a motion to purchase 250 of the pocket constitutions. Do we have a second?
I believe the motion is not yet fully formed if we don't know the cost.
Oh,
A dollar a
piece.
What?
Dollar piece.
Okay, for a total of $250.
For a total of $250.
Thank you. I'll second it.
Okay.
Question,
Yes, Ryan.
what was the cost to produce each of these? Because this isn't a leather-bound Cato pocket constitution, which I would love to have and give out, but just curious what the cost for these is.
I'd rather not say, if that's okay.
No, this is his business.
It's my business. I don't, you know. So I'm not hiding anything. It's just that, you know, I mean, I make money selling the books, so it's above what I pay for them.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any objection to purchasing 250 pocket constitutions at a total cost of $250? Hearing none, that our treasurer is not here.
Okay. I can bring the books in the car. You want me to leave them here?
You can give them to Ryan here,
Okay.
and then I'm going to have you, where's our sign-up sheet right now?
Went that way.
My contact
Well,
is
I
on the
think you
back
have
of the
it.
book anyway. My contact information is on the back of the book.
Would you put all of your?
Wait, it's on the back of the
It's
book.
on the back. It's on the back.
Thank you.
Like I said, the inside front cover.
With your permission, we'll get a check in the mail to
Sure,
you.
no problem. You want me to bring the books then?
Sure, you bet.
Do you lock me out if I go out?
I'll help you with the door.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, next we have legislative. Now this is, just tell us a little bit about what you've been thinking. Have you been going through your continuity binder, reading the board reports from your predecessors, those type of things? Just kind of give us an overview about what you've been doing.
Okay. So I wanted to make sure that any goals that I set were objective and measurable. So 2021 goals would be to meet in person with each local affiliate one time, at least. And then Ross has been very kind in helping me. We're gonna come up with hopefully a standardized way to grade the legislative session, so that some of the feedback I got when I was recruiting volunteers is that they're intimidated because they don't know how to read bills. So if we created an Excel sheet and a standardized test to where you just click, does the bill do this, yes or no, it auto-populates a grade for the bills, so that local affiliates and state volunteers can have some sort of standardized way to produce stances on legislation. Using that system to report on a minimum of 25 bills for this session, booking 5 speaking engagements outside of the LPCO, utilizing social media outlets to post weekly during the 2021 legislative session, increase the legislative volunteer base to at least 10 active, which would be defined as engaged for 3 activities per year, contacting the legislative action committee at least 1 time per week during session, visiting the Capitol a minimum 2 times per month during session, coordinate and execute at least 1 project with each of outreach, affiliates, campaigns, communications, membership. And then I wrote volunteer role descriptions. So far we have bill graders, which are volunteers that would be assigned to read the bill using standardized grading system, assign grade on behalf of the LPCO and turning it into legislative director. Expert consults would be a volunteer job description, and those would be people that can provide a stance based on their expertise, so that we're not just opposing bills, but that we're actually providing functionally equivalent replacements for them, saying that we have a better plan, not just that we're against the current plan. Another volunteer role would be session testimonies, social media posters, and speakers. And then as far as current volunteers, Michael Stapleton he's amazingly gracious and wonderful and amazing, and he said he's still going to be involved. So I've met with him, and he's going to be super involved and hold my hand a little bit, which I'm thankful for. Ross, I've talked to, met with Josh Wallen. Ramon Doan's going to help us because he works for Colorado State Department of Revenue. Jake Stewksbury said he'll help with like language. Kevin Ruskis, I don't know how to say his last name. We have a date to meet. Adam out in Grand County has said he would be an expert on environmental issues. David Landwehr has said would volunteer to be an expert on tax law. Beatrice Sutton said she would help with just posting information. Dick Murphy, who was the head of Colorado's Budget and Planning Committee under 3 different governors, I believe, has said that he would help me. And D.K. Williams, who's been the legislative director and is an attorney, has also been very, very gracious in saying that he would help. And then I've also talked to Kyle. So Denver County is going to roll out the first local legislative committee. We're going to give it a couple of months, see what we learn from it. And then, as Kyle pointed out, we're a Libertarian, so we can't force affiliates to do anything. But we won't, so it won't be a mandate, but a model for what it can look like on a local level. And I can send a link. I have an Excel book. It's just done by tab, and it has dates. Due dates for, like, it'll say project and then due dates for every task, so that anybody can log in and look at where we're at and offer a suggestion.
Well, Jen, I'm guessing that's a good portion of that is part of what is in your business plan.
Mm-hmm.
So give me a call here in the next couple of days and let's schedule a time where we can go over that. But you've been working. Good. Anybody have any questions of Jennifer? Okay. Membership. We don't have Reese with us tonight, and I think it would probably be unfair to have, is it Andy? I can't read my own writing.
Yeah, it is. Reese gave me a update to read for him, which is, or not to read, but to pass along.
Okay, I didn't understand what you said.
Reese gave him an update to read or to pass along.
Let her rip, Andy.
Cool. He basically has just been going through his binder, working with Ryan on a couple of the outreach things he's been working on, and working on his report.
Okay. Ryan?
Just to add in on what Reese is doing, maybe we could just move to my update also, because it overlaps. How's that sound?
Well, not quite yet, but we'll get there in a second.
Okay.
So you and Reese are working together on some things?
Yes.
Great.
We talk about it more.
Okay. I think we have several items of yours that are in the regular business section. But if you want to give a report first, and then we can get into the sections that we've put in the agenda. You want to review those and decide where you want to talk about them.
Cool update. We have a talk to with Josh Sotor's help. We have set up a open mic night that will be on the end of every month, or the last Friday of every month now, here at the Independence Institute. This is a trial. I'm going to ask for the official LP endorsement, but preliminarily we're going to set it up for a monthly open mic, but we could scale that up to bi-weekly, weekly. I'm really interested in how we could drive revenue with this event. And if you know anything about making money in events, it's all driven by alcohol sales. So I looked into alcohol laws and did a deep dive into that. We definitely don't have to go down that route yet, but it's something to keep in mind that there's a lot of revenue on the table with a liquor license. That is a lot of stuff that's adjacent to the rest of what I'm going to talk about, so just something to update, keep in mind. We set up some committees, and this overlaps with Reese. We're going to, I don't know if we have to propose this ahead of time, but we're working on setting up a digital newsletter that has a free tier and a paid tier on Substack. We've lined up people into our committees, and a lot of the same people that will write for legislation are also talking about writing for this newsletter. You know, we got David in tax policy, et cetera, et cetera. We got, a few people signed up for this, and then this would be a newsletter for any libertarian in Colorado to use to amplify their voices. So that's where we're at with that. And that will also be a global facing newsletter, which will drive revenue from a global audience. So it's a key objective for us and in a digital strategy. Yeah, that's good enough for my for an update for outreach.
Okay. Any questions of Ryan? Thank you, Ryan. We don't have any committee reports at this point. No special orders. No unfinished business, so we're on to new business. We touched on this briefly a couple weeks ago. Our website is certainly not very pretty, and it's not very easy to use either. And Ryan, you proposed that you and David get together with Andy, I believe at National, to see if we can make our own website and tie it into the CVCRM program. David, you recall that conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We had a couple volunteers. You obviously were very strong on this. I believe Nathan had an interest in being on that committee as well. Who else do we have on the board here that is techie?
I have an objection here. We don't have a motion on the floor. Is this just a discussion item? Like, I'm totally confused.
At this point.
Whose item is this?
This is mine.
Okay,
I will make a motion in a moment.
okay.
I'm just trying to see who we have here in the room that may have an interest in partnering with Ryan and Nathan on this.
Well, I had questions first before, like, I might, but I think there's a premise here that is incorrect. What exactly does that mean, build our own website, and have it tied into City CRM? The website is simple WordPress. WordPress can look any way you'd like. Is the suggestion just to redo the present WordPress site, or is it to design an entirely new site on a different, platform, or from scratch, from just basic HTML, CSS? Like, what does this mean? I have no idea what we're talking about here.
Actually,
I figured that. So
and so I think that's very, very good observation.
Point of information. Is that
Go ahead.
just correct me so I know in the future.
Yeah, you want to just explain, point of information when you're asking a
It's
question of
asking a
somebody.
question.
Okay, then maybe you're right, okay.
Maybe I was
Slap
asking
me.
a
Slap
question.
me, slap me, slap me.
Not in the boardroom, Karen.
Could be a very
Who
fun
owns the
boardroom.
website? Do we own our own website?
What do you mean by website? Do you mean the domain name?
The domain name and the server, the actual website.
We own the domain
Because
name, and the National Party owns the server.
Okay. Who owns the data in that CRM?
We own our own data. It's a joint ownership.
Yeah.
What does that mean technically? There's joint ownerships where I give you permission to use what I own 100%. There's different degrees of ownership. There's 50-50 split. This information and that went through this form is Libertarians in Colorado submitted this information to us. How does National jointly own this? Is there an agreement? Like, what is the exact contractual agreement with National? Do we give them access to our data? Do we just forfeit the ownership of the data for this WordPress site? I just don't.
It's my understanding that we have the right to take our data and go anywhere we want, okay? They also have the right to keep a copy of it.
Okay.
So if we decide to part ways, which I hope we don't, they keep a copy, we get a copy.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
That answers my question. So for the record, we own our own data. We're giving National a copy of the data in exchange for something, or just a agreement as we get to use these services and they get a copy of the data?
As a part of this deal, we get to use the software that they have provided, the CRM, the WordPress. They take care of all the licensing and the upgrades and all of that stuff. And we get to use it. We don't have to pay a dime. We do, however, contribute to the project at $90 per month, which gives us a little bit of priority service in making requests.
Okay. So for the record, it sounds like we're paying National $90 a month to use this WordPress setup and other emails and services that come with that.
We don't actually have to pay $90 a month. Some states don't have the money to pay, so they get to use it for free. We don't have to make that donation.
Ms. Harless?
I think we're making a mistake when we're viewing this as like two completely independent parties in some kind of business arrangement. While I do think the affiliates, you know, have an autonomy, we also are part of a larger national party, and what we get out of it is doing our part to help build a national political party to win on the national stage. Us letting them use our data is part of that. While I have...
We're a member of a national party as long as they feel like it.
Hold on, who is speaking here?
Andy.
But I was talking.
Andy, wait until Karen Ann is finished. Raise your hand, say may I be recognized, and once you're recognized, you can speak.
And, you know, for one thing, this board, in my opinion, other people may disagree, does not have the authority to disaffiliate from national, and that it's our fiduciary duty to our members to protect us, but also to work with the national party as best as we can to help ensure the success of the Libertarian Party as a libertarian movement nationally. If we decide with the membership that we want to go off and be some single state, single issue party, we can do that, but we're not. We're an affiliate of the national party. And yes, there's been some hostilities and there's some shady shit going on, but I don't want to take that to the point where we're viewing ourselves as something separate, because we're not, and that's not what the members elected us to be. And I tried to put in a bylaws amendment 4 years ago that would make it explicit that only the members could disaffiliate from the national party. But even without that bylaws amendment, I don't think anyone here elected us to go to war against the national party unless we were simply defending ourselves. But I see a lot of more offensive rather than defensive talk going on, and that disturbs me.
Andy, you had something?
I just Karen kind of addressed that. I was just going to say that we are a member of a national party, so long as they feel like not disaffiliated. Which I agree that we would like to not have to take unoffensive posture. But as you said, we don't know what the board is up to. We don't know what the chair is planning. And so, like you said, there is kind of a rifle at us. And so what are we to do, especially with regards to our data?
All right, well, I think we're a little premature to respond to that question, Andy. Brian, you had your hand up first.
Nobody is talking about any sort of disaffiliation. I was pointing out that before this was even a thing this weekend, that there was a massive security vulnerability by having another person with admin access over our data, and who even knows what password he's using. It could be something simple and dumb. And I pointed that out and brought that up multiple times beforehand, and we have to have control over our own technology to develop on top of it. So there's no one is even talking about disaffiliating. I very much do not want to disaffiliate. And then real quick question, how many states are signed up for this CRM program out of 50?
Go ahead.
I believe there are currently 27 states on it.
And the waiting list is?
We have 10 or 12 so far.
Yeah, the states have signed up but haven't onboarded yet.
Okay, so this isn't a disaffiliation. This is something that half the states aren't even doing, and that this weekend the security vulnerability that I pointed out ahead of time just locked an entire board, and this is still going to be, there's going to be all sorts of stuff going on here, but I'll say from my perspective, there is an argument for theft there. Okay, so if we don't have control over our own data, and based on the model I showed the board of what we could do if we try to monetize that data, you're talking about theft in the six-figure categories if we lose that data. So that's, and that is not even where I want to go down. All I want to talk about is that we have the admin control over our own data and website. This is not going to war. This is very much a sane defensive maneuver that you would have done in any organization is just take admin accounts over your own data.
Kieran?
We do have admin control over our own data, but it seems, well, I think we've gone off, the topic of the decoupling data and technology from national is a separate agenda item. I think this agenda item is just about changing the website. So I'd like to maybe, if we could keep those two topics separate. So in changing the website, are we talking about not using the WordPress architecture?
I would technically advocate to run away from WordPress.
Your reason for that, Ryan?
I can go into specifics, customizability, bloat, SEO, search engine optimization, mobile optimization. There's like 100 little reasons that all add up, and that's why nobody uses WordPress anymore. You know, great way to just get out and start a blog. 10 years ago, missing a lot of features that you would need for just hitting search results that pipe thousands of people to the site. Customizability would be another big one. You have to work within legacy code to make plugins that are bloated. You're just handcuffed with WordPress basically.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we appoint a committee and that would 30 days be enough for you to come up with a report for us as to what the other possibilities would be?
I could deploy another site in 30 days.
Okay.
Well,
We don't want to do that yet. We have to put it in front of the board and have them vote on it. But we need to have all the information, so if you could put a report together for us, Ryan, and give us a good feel for it. So the motion is to appoint a committee of 3 people. Ryan? Nathan? And I can't remember who else had an interest in joining us. That's where I started this with.
I can onboard anyone that wants to get involved like that, so I
Doesn't have to be a board member.
Okay.
So, Chair, I'm happy to contribute to that as well.
Okay? Do we have a second on that motion?
Point of information.
Go ahead.
Mr. Kane, you said you could have a site up in 30 days. Is it possible to run some sample sites that don't go public that you could show us?
Yes, and I could do it with all the contact info that we own. And you will see right away that this is gonna be way better and way more powerful. And that is all my motion is to reclaim our tech stack.
I second.
Okay, any further discussion? Ms. Harlow?
I would like to amend your motion.
Your amendment is?
You had moved to appoint a committee of three to investigate the website issue and report back to the board. And you had listed the members as Ryan, Nathan, and I believe it was Ross?
Reese.
Mario. Well,
Oh, Mario. It was Mario. Okay, I'm
you
sorry.
can throw Reese on there too. I'll make him home.
Well, this isn't, there's no throwing on. We're doing something,
Typing it down.
no, he
No,
made
no.
the motion. You can't change this motion unless you're gonna do a motion to amend in a minute, but, I'm moving to amend, and I don't mind if, I'll add your in here to make it a committee of 5. And to add in, what was the name you requested?
Reese.
Reese. But I would like David Aiken to be on this committee if he accepts.
Okay.
Seconded.
Any further discussion on that? Any objection?
I object.
And who's this?
Andy acting
Andy?
for Reese.
And your objection is?
No.
I just
he
don't
doesn't
think that
have
we
this.
need a
Never mind, you
formal
don't have to say
committee.
that.
I think Ryan can come back with proposed ideas and take anybody's input who needs it.
Okay, I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, we're, just parliamentary wise, we're on the amendment right now. It sounds like he's objecting to the original motion.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. Thanks, Karen Ann.
Yeah, so that's not counted at
Okay.
the moment.
So we need to bring that, the original motion.
Well, we need
We
to
need to
deal
go
with
to
the
Go to the
amendment.
amendment, then we will make a, so the amendment right now,
Was to strike 3 and make it 5 and add the names Reese and David.
and we didn't hear any objection to that. I'll ask again, is there any objection to that? Hearing none, that passes. Now would you read the entire motion?
Okay, so now the motion as amended would be move to appoint a committee of 5 to investigate the website issue and report back to the board with the members of this committee being Ryan, Nathan, Mario, Reese, and David.
Andy, you had an objection to that motion?
So now he could debate against it.
Yes, I just don't think that we need a,
You don't think we need what?
formal
Okay, well, that's how we do things, so we're gonna have a formal committee.
Oh, well, you don't get to declare that by fiat. He has every right to say that.
Absolutely, he does.
You can't do ad hoc.
I
National chair.
I echo that we don't have to form a committee for a proof of concept. That's likely just going to be me doing a proof of concept and bringing it back in the board. I think that is good enough, and then we can talk about it in 30 days.
Still need testers.
Well, I guess, Karen Ann?
I'm speaking in support. Not that I doubt your abilities whatsoever. That's why I didn't sign up for the committee, because I think I'm totally underqualified. But I think in many different perspectives, the board's gonna get a more balanced view. And particularly, that's why I asked David, for David to be on this committee. I really want more than one perspective so that we can have, the point of a committee per Roberts is to give a board a mature, considered judgment of multiple perspectives. And that's why I'm in favor of the committee. It's not a slight against any one individual's abilities.
may I be recognized again?
Andy.
Didn't understand what you
He's
said.
asking
Andy,
for
I see you.
recognized again.
Go ahead, Andy.
I completely agree with what Karen Ann's saying and think that a variety of perspectives is valuable. I just think that as an industry professional, Ryan probably has the skills to do that without a formal committee and can make sure everybody's opinion is heard without formalizing it, is all.
Okay. Anybody else like to speak for this?
For or against?
For first. Or against? Okay, it's time to bring it to a vote. Madam Secretary?
One moment. I gotta find where I've got way too many frickin' windows open right now. Okay. Hannah. Are you clear on what we're voting on?
Not really.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Can you just restate it for me?
Certainly. The motion on the floor is to appoint a committee of 5 to investigate the website issue and report back to the board with the members of the committee being Ryan, Nathan, Mario, Reese, and David. A yes vote would appoint the committee, and a no vote puts us back to square one of having to come up with another motion.
I would say no.
Okay, I have these in just a weird order right now, so I'm going in the order I have it. I am going to vote yes. Vouch.
You with us, Nathan?
He's still on the call.
If he types.
You copy?
Yep.
Did you hear the motion, Nathan?
My vote was yes.
Yes, okay. Daniel Lutz.
Yes.
Greg Lauer.
Yes.
Ryan McCain.
Yes.
Kyle Fury.
Yes.
Jennifer Nakarud? Did I say that?
Nakarud.
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 Yes.
Andrew Bukovich for Reese.
Yes.
Joshua Lilamont.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in favor, 1 opposed.
All right, well, that passes. It's too long for me to remember, so I'm not going to read it out. I'm not going to try to repeat it. All right, next thing we have is the wraparound trailer. This was my charge. I talked to 2 different companies, and they're both supposed to get back to me by Wednesday this week, so I don't have a number yet. The wrapper for the trailer, I've already spoken with John, who owns the trailer, to put LPCO sign on it. The trailer is aluminum, so we can't put a magnetic sign. So it has to be a wrapper. And I spoke with 2 different sign companies or wrapper companies. They both said that very easy to remove. They don't have a special wrapper that's easy to remove. They said if you put it on a black trailer, it could be a problem because it gets so hot. But with a white trailer, there will be no problem removing that, because when we turn it back into John's service, unless you want to keep the LPCO on there, you probably want to take that off.
I don't care.
Okay. So I don't have a number yet. I have a peripheral number between $400 and $700. But that's as close as I can get at this point. So we're gonna, I move that we take the wraparound trailer and postpone that till next month, where I'll have a solid number for us.
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, would you put that on the agenda for next month?
Mm-hmm.
Next one is outreach supplies. I noticed that there was a need for some supplies that haven't been kept up with, if you will. Number 1 is shock signs for parades. And we have none. The state party needs to have 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 signs. I priced them out, and to do 10 signs, it's going to cost us about $600. I have another quote coming in from another company, which I have not yet received. But I move that we set aside $600 for specifically signs. And then if there's anything else that you want to add to that you think that's needed, Ryan, we can discuss that in just a moment. But right now, $600 set aside for signs. That's my motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Will you repeat the motion? I'm sorry, I was doing a rabbit.
We have, I'm moving that we set aside $600 for signs for parades. Or could be
for outreach signs.
Overpass, waving, whatever.
Outreach signs, okay.
Yep.
Does this fall under the billboard idea that came up somewhere?
Not yet, we'll get there. Okay.
No, this is
we
more
have an objection to that motion. It has been seconded. Hearing no objection, we have $600. Ryan, let's get together and come up with some real shocking signs.
I would like to be a
Submit
part.
your Pepes to outreach director.
We will include Karen in this group.
Come on, when it comes to hot takes.
Daniel wants to be, he's got a shit-eating grin on his face. All right.
I've got some scores to settle, so.
No barred dildos.
No, the bar dildos is safe for
While
social
we are
media.
on the outreach supplies, Ryan, is there anything else you think we, after you did your inventory, any other supplies that you think we need?
I think it was a very interesting and worthwhile discussion to have like boxes that you can tow, like 4 of them, that will be in regional locations in Colorado, instead of one trailer that's centralized. And you can, I don't know exactly what the cost would be, but instead of wrapping the trailer, we could also have these boxes in different geographic areas of Colorado. I think that'd be really useful for a lot of the people that aren't Denver located and don't have, it's not worth to them to come grab the trailer. Eliminates a lot of logistics. Also worth considering selling the trailer to have
That's not
boxes.
our trailer.
Not our trailer.
It's not our trailer. It's
Okay.
donated to us for use by Mr. Hirschman.
Okay, I understand that. I'm just saying, it's worthwhile to consider having, maybe it's better to have 4 or 5 nice pop-up boxes as opposed to one trailer.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you to get prices. John Hirschman was nice enough to send me a link to, was that Lowe's or Home Depot? I think it was Lowe's.
Lowe's.
And it was $150 for it was basically a toolbox, but it's on wheels and it has a pull-up handle, and you could fill that up with all kinds of supplies. And, but we need to shop some other sources, either online or possibly Harbor Freight. These aren't gonna be used all the time.
Inventory sucks for that.
Mhm.
Does it?
Yeah.
You've looked
I
specifically?
know.
Okay. Well, we need to find out if we have any other options other than Lowe's. $150 per is gonna be pretty pricey. But we can start out with 2, and then if it turns out to be a successful idea, then we can expand that. But if you would, Ryan, get us some prices from some other sources, and if $150 is the number that we're gonna deliberate over next month, then we will. Would you bring that to the next meeting?
Gotcha.
I checked some luggage stores, because luggage will accommodate a lot of that stuff too.
Daniel, you had something?
Yeah, 2 quick things. Wayfair.com is probably where you're going to find the best prices on some decent equipment. Second, I would strongly discourage any kind of discussions about getting rid of that trailer and not wrapping it. Let me tell you, I used to drive an H3 around Kansas, Missouri, and Northwest Arkansas that was wrapped in Marine Corps stuff. I got more looks, more conversations, and more talks out of that wrap on that H3, that crappy vehicle, than almost anything else. A billboard rolling down the road like that is huge for exposure.
Objection, we postponed this till next month. Can we discuss
Fair.
the thing next month?
Okay, so right now, you agree, Ryan, to get us some prices, some additional prices on the rolling toolboxes, if you will?
Sure.
Okay. I put the style committee appointments, and we may be a little bit premature, but maybe not. So, I think I'm gonna move that we appoint our style committee now, and, I think we need 5 people on the committee.
Objection?
Yes, ma'am?
Don't we normally put out for applications?
Ah, you're right, we do. Until I've been away from this for a couple of years.
There's some automatic members of the style committee, such as previous chairs of the,
Platform, Mr. Chair, let me just read off the relevant bylaw, that might help explain it.
you have it in front of you?
Right in front of me.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Okay,
please.
this is, the bylaws, Article 10, Section 1, subsection B. The Style Committee shall consist of the previous chairs of the Bylaws Committee and Platform Committee from the previous convention year, and 3 at-large party members selected by the Board of Directors. The at-large Style Committee members shall be selected within 60 days of adjournment, signed D of the business session, of the convention. The Style Committee shall propose non-substantive stylistic changes to the platform and bylaws in accordance with the standards published in the latest version of Chicago Manual Style to the board for ratification by a 2/3 vote, rejection, or determination as a substantive change. Substantive changes to be proposed shall be forwarded or referred to the current platform or bylaws committees as appropriate.
Okay.
So you got 60 days between the convention.
My motion, I take back my original motion. My new motion would be that we put out notice for at-large members of the style committee.
You're gonna have to do the appointments next meeting.
We have a second.
That's mouth. Okay, I'm sorry, I am such a pain in the ass. I'm not, but I am, kind of.
It's what we love about you.
Yeah, in particular, will you allow me to make the motion, Mr. Chair, since it's more appropriate? Okay.
I will.
I would move that the secretary is directed to create an application form for the style committee and cause it to be published amongst the members for review and vote at next meeting.
Your second?
Second.
Any objection?
Just trying to understand the motion. Now, is this to have the application reviewed at the next
No,
meeting, or
it-
applicants reviewed?
Applicants too.
Okay.
I've done this a gazillion million times, and I believe it falls to the secretary to do this type of stuff. Nationally, it falls to the secretary to do this type of stuff.
Question answered?
Yes.
Okay.
Keep in mind, the 3 at large have to be appointed by
Within-
60 days post-convention.
Right.
So it has to be by next meeting?
Next meeting,
Yeah,
right.
okay. Just to put the timeline in perspective.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, it passed. Would you reread that one more time, Karen Ann, so everybody's clear about what we just passed?
Okay, yeah, I'm jotting it down myself. One second here. It was moved for the secretary to develop an application for the style committee and cause it to be published to the general membership for applicants to be voted upon at the next board meeting.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
What happened to the motion to set aside the 600?
That passed without objection.
All right. I think it.
Next item of business is the policy manual.
Okay.
And I'm going to let Karen Ann or Mike speak about this because they were both on.
Well, it was
Forgive me.
my committee, my agenda item, so
Go
I
ahead.
hope you're not like.
Go ahead,
Thank
speak
you.
to it.
I was not on that committee.
What?
I wasn't on that committee.
No,
that's
yeah,
right.
Mike had nothing to do with it.
That's right.
I don't have a motion on this. This is strictly a discussion item, more of a heads up, okay? We had a policy manual committee that developed a very thorough policy manual for the LPCO. A prior board voted it down with no amendments, no suggestions for changes, just, nah, thanks, fam. Well, no, we didn't get a thanks, fam. We just got a nah. I'm reviewing it right now to make sure it's still up to date. I'm going to be distributing it to the board, and I would like next meeting for the board to be prepared to vote on it. When you're reading it, this is what I suggest. You could take this or leave it, and I'll explain my suggestion in a moment. This has been worked on for about 2 years by people who are very, very skilled at policy manuals on the national level. I would encourage the board to pass it as proposed. And if there are things that we find in it unworkable, it is easily amendable with a 50% vote at any meeting. It's not like you pass it and all of a sudden it's Moses coming down from the mountain and you're bound to it, to cut foreskins off of children for the rest of eternity. It's not like that. The LNC amends the policy manual. I know, I'm a joy at the LNC meetings too, as you can tell. The LNC amends its policy manual almost every meeting. It's meant to be a document that keeps getting amended to suit our needs. But please, I'm just begging you, let's not argue about it. Let's pass this work that's been done by professionals and then keep amending it as we find things that aren't working out for us. But that is a huge step to bring us to a more professional organization and for the members to know what to expect from the board. So I'll be emailing that within the next week for your review.
Madam Secretary, would you put that on the agenda for next month, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, adoption of the Discord server. Ryan, I'm going to let you speak to this.
I'm gonna motion that Funk present this if he wants to.
Sure, yeah. Mark, come on up here by the microphone so people that are listening can hear you.
All right.
It's the funk, man.
I'm back, yeah.
You miss us yet?
No.
No.
Yeah, no. I'm just sitting here, that's for sure.
The mic's over here.
Mike's over here.
All right, so Discord is a platform that can be utilized from a desktop or mobile app that serves the purpose of hosting user-created servers meant to centralize communication. The goal of it for the LPCO is to bring every active libertarian in the state together to improve communication, increase collaboration, and drive results. It's highly effective, and it's not social media. In short, it's a structured hierarchy of specialized categories, and within each category is a subset of channels pertaining to that category. Think of the channels like chat rooms or forums, if you will. For example, one of the categories is the executive committee category. So every board member has their own channel for discussion. And anyone in the server can add their input. In my experience, what I've seen firsthand is this generally creates like a snowball effect of people volunteering and contributing their time. Another category is the volunteer committees. So there's actually a preset channel for database director, technology director, and I believe the welcome committee as well, and then a whole host of other channels. And categories and channels can be altered at any time. Channels can be added or removed at any time. So also when a Libertarian from Colorado joins the server, they get assigned their county. So now they also have access to all of the members in the server that are also in their county to kind of organize and get things going. So yeah, that's it.
Do we have a price on that? If I recall correctly, at our planning meeting, the base price was $70 a month, and then the
Discord is free.
Yeah, it's $3.99.
Discord is free.
Yes, there is premium stuff, but it's not.
So in your opinion, guys, you feel as though the free will be enough to get our feet wet? And,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and adopt the Discord server and put these guys to work.
Second.
Any objection? Hearing none, that passes. Guys, we are 15 minutes beyond our time to adjourn. I think we can take the rest of this and put it on the unfinished business for next month, unless there's anything else that absolutely has to be reviewed tonight.
Yeah, we definitely have to go through some of this tonight.
Yeah.
Just time bound, first of all, for the open mic night, we
Yes.
it won't even be relevant at next meeting because we're supposed to have our first one in like 2 weeks.
Well, I don't think there's any reason to put that one to a motion. Go ahead and set it up and do it.
No,
Cool.
you don't have this authority to do that. You might think that that's nice, but.
All right.
I move that we amend our agenda to have a 10 o'clock closing time.
Do
And
we have
what I'm
access,
not-
David, for the building until 10?
I have no clue.
No,
They've
I
never
guess-
thrown, we've been that late before.
Okay.
Second.
And, it's not the entire motion,
Oh.
and to move up open mic night to be the very next item of business.
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, open mic night. Your turn, Ryan.
I just need the official approval for it so we can put in Libertarian Party open mic night.
And do you plan on doing that here?
Yes,
Is there cost?
no cost. It's just an open microphone in a room.
Who's running it?
Me, just me right now. If you want to like to show up, that'd be great.
Do we read poetry?
You do whatever you want. We cannot afford any sort of specific skills or theme yet. There will be a
Ode to
mic in the
Bard
middle
Dildo.
of a room. I will figure out a way to.
No dancing in G-strings.
Liberty on the Rocks is
I'm just gonna
they
stand
have
with the
they
mic
sell
and
alcohol, they
motions.
make money in the revenue. So we're going to figure how that's set up, and we're gonna have an open mic night. There's gonna be beer and a microphone in the middle of the room. So that's what we're gonna do.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that passes. You got it. You have the blessing of all of us.
Cool.
Now you're in trouble.
Next item of business is the meeting procedure. Pay for Office 365. I believe that was the secretary's.
Yeah, I'll save the extensive discussion on meeting procedure, but something I do need in order to, again, bring us up to the professional levels I'd like to, is for the party to have its own Office 365 account, not my personal one, because if I should disappear, then some of the crap goes with it. I believe it's $10 a month. So I'm moving that we authorize a $10 a month subscription to Microsoft, because I need it for OneNote, Office 365 for use by the secretary.
Okay,
Second.
any objections? It passes. Messaging plan. Who put this on here? Secretary?
It is, yes, it was me, but I would like to create, well, who's Joshua, with Joshua's blessing, I would like us to create a messaging committee. We've all kind of committed that we would like a strong, bold messaging strategy, but I think we kind of not need to, go by the seat of our pants on that. And that would also include like my billboard idea type thing. So I would like this to be workshopped in committee, but I don't want to step on Joshua's toes either.
Joshua, you have any input on that idea?
Yeah, I love it. I've already got a kind of a committee volunteer group on Twitter. I'm still kind of recruiting some people for Facebook.
Well,
I kind of want to do like a meeting with them to kind of strategize a little bit.
Well, Joshua, you have the authority to appoint your own committees. How about I speak with you offline to save committee time and
Okay.
give you some input on that, because you don't need board permission to create a committee.
Okay.
Okay, I'll talk to you offline on that.
Yep.
But on this same issue, kind of, I just have to update you guys on something, and stop me if you guys feel this is just way too off topic. But on the LNC list right now, we just got a message that was forwarded, and I'd like to read part of it, because this is the type of crap we're up against right now, and people in this room have just been slandered on the LNC list, not by name, but by association. So let me find it here. If you've wondered why the Libertarian, this is from Dr. Kyle Varner, a very large donor and respected member of the party, who, until he posted this, I wouldn't have never had a bad thing to say about him. He's a brilliant doctor. If you've wondered why the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire's Twitter account has been full of offensive posts that tangentially link libertarian ideas to repugnant sentiments, and he earlier defined repugnant sentiments as being a bunch of flaming bigots and racists, this is your answer. It's the paleo strategy, the extension of Murray Rothbard's life work that the Mises PAC intends to implement within the Libertarian Party. And he goes on to say, this is a wing of thought that finds itself adjacent to libertarianism but doesn't condemn bigotry as a rational Republican. It views at best, it views bigotry as a tool that it can use to bring about some sort of populist anarcho-capitalist revolution. But there is something even more specific here, where it talks about this cadre of, it is no surprise that the Mises PAC has legions, okay, of young men expressing racial resentment. That is absolute, utter bullshit. And I can tell you what I posted to the LNC list, because I'm appalled that this was posted publicly, that I said, this is slanderous to a whole group of members. I object to slander being posted to this public list. Yes, we're in a battle against new members and an attempted purge of them, and it is absolutely gross. And then I also had said on here, we should never slander entire groups of people who aren't here to defend themselves. And we LNC members signed up for this. I get slanders on me all the time, but it's part of my job. A wide swath of members should not be slandered in this matter. I'm so disgusted I could spit. This is unacceptable. And some of you are these, I guess, do anyone here have racial resentment that you're going around spewing? I haven't seen it.
show me the evidence, and then
Only against Italians.
we can go from there.
I do have resentment against the human race. Does that count?
Well, that's, okay, granted.
I'm not a man. I'm a young woman.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm a
I couldn't hear Hannah.
Say that
Said she's a
again,
woman,
Hannah.
not,
Oh, yeah.
she's not a young man.
Oh.
So, I'm not racist.
I would suggest, well, I'm actually gonna make a motion. I move that the party chair, the LPCO chair, draft a letter to the Libertarian National Committee strongly condemning this kind of stirring up of slander against groups of people posted to a public list, and the interference in the National Party in the messaging of affiliates unless they're prepared to disaffiliate, and to run this letter by the board over email for approval before sending to the LNC list.
Point of information. What position in the LNC does the doctor hold?
He doesn't hold any. He's a member, but he sent this to another member and asked them to post it to the public list. While we generally honor member requests like that, I think it's only a matter of common sense that you don't post a slander. What if some racist wrote us and had this anti-black screed and said, will you post this to the public list? Would we? No. So why are we slandering an entire caucus this way? That consists of a majority of this board here that just got slandered on the public. I'm not even a MISIS member, and I'm a woman. It's not about me. I would be saying the same thing if this was against the Pragmatist Caucus. This is utterly unacceptable. And I'm not going to say what LNC member posted it, because I don't think they did it in bad faith. We always do that. But come on, use your noodle.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We have any discussion? Any
Yeah, I would
objection?
just like to say, I'm just like, this doesn't even faze me at all. Like, there's no evidence. You know, show me the evidence, and then I'll show you the evidence of LP New Hampshire's explosion in reach and impressions and followers.
Oh, I agree. That's what I'm going to talk
So
about
that's
on the
just
message.
That's
Yeah.
hard evidence versus no evidence, so I don't even care, honestly.
I care. I care because this is what's destroying the party. To me, this looks to me exactly like what you got a bunch of new members in that some old members. Too bad, so sad. What this looks exactly to me like is the libertarian version of what the Republican Party did to Ron Paul. They didn't like the new movement, so they're doing everything they can to purge them out. No, you beat people at convention legitimately. You out recruit, you outvote, you out strategize. This is so unworthy of the Libertarian Party, and we've got to say something about it. And people can believe me or not, but anyone who's known me for any amount of time knows that I would be just as angry if this was a group of people I didn't agree with. You don't do this to people.
I have something to say over this.
Go ahead, Andy.
It's Nathan.
Nathan, okay, sorry.
So like my opinion on the New Hampshire thing, you know, I like that edgy, and I just feel that you just have to have a certain level of reading comprehension to understand that it's not meant to offend a free-thinking person, a person, you know, of a libertarian value. It's supposed to make the person think, and if it shocks you, you know. So let's say my grandma or something. She's like, "Oh, that's offensive." Okay, well, why is it offensive? You know, and I think it makes them self-analyze themselves on what they really believe. As for the allegations and slander, I feel that that's a Marxist ploy to just go ahead and label us, you know, bigoted or some other PC name, and automatically people won't listen to us because we have a label, and they know that form of aggression works, and that's all I feel that this is. I think it's a bunch of lies.
Thank you, Nathan. Back to the vote. Do we have any objections? Hearing none, that passes. Would you read that out again, please, Karen?
1 second here, please. Go back over to my notes. It was that the board directs the LPCO chair to draft a letter to, and I'm remembering it because I didn't jot it down, but it's on the recording as well, and I know this is pretty close because I got all lathered up. To draft a letter to the LNC condemning their posting, allowing posting of a slander against a wide swath of the party membership, and the interference with the New Hampshire affiliate unless they intend to disaffiliate that affiliate.
Okay, thank you. You want to tie that? Did you have a question, Dave?
With a draft of the letter being sent to the LPCO board on the email list for their approval prior to being sent.
So I would encourage everybody to make sure you check your emails regularly. As soon as that comes out, I'm going to want you to vote on it fairly quickly because we need to get this out, like now. How does this tie into your instructions to regional?
I moved to postpone instructions to regional to next time. It's not an urgent matter.
Second.
Any objections? It will be added to unfinished business. Resolution to national. I believe that is Madam Secretary's proposal as well.
This kind of handled that. The letter is fine. Doesn't need to be a resolution.
Okay.
So to me, I consider that taken care of.
Okay.
Now we're on the data and technology.
Decoupled data and technology stack from national. I think we already covered a good portion of that.
We
Ryan?
covered the website.
Right.
We should extend that committee to include a potential CRM.
So are you moving to amend something previously adopted to have that committee examine not just the website issues, but also the data/CRM issues?
Yeah, we could do that. We should have some discussion first. My biggest concern was not owning our own data, because just from the building things that I wanted to talk about on that, or just the ability to build on that, you can't really build on data you don't own. So that is actually cleared up for me because we own the data. I understand that model. The decoupling, I used the word decoupling there purposefully. It wasn't a split. It was technically you could call it sunsetting. That's a engineering term where we'll keep all the CRM and the previous stuff operational, but we will start moving towards securing our own data stack. Number one thing that is my biggest concern is we do not have admin privileges over our own CRM and contacts list. We have state board privileges. Those are separate because I can't access the database. For example, there's fields in the database I cannot access as outreach director. So we do not have, this board does not have control over the database. There's an admin role that is above the state board in our technology stack. I motion that administration role, the highest levels of permission for our technology stack is shared with this board.
Can you just define what technology stack means?
So any technology is just a lot of different, smaller, understandable technology. So like your car is like a transmission, a wheel, but you could just consider that, a mechanical stack if you think of it like that.
Okay.
So
it's kind of like an et al.
Yeah.
Some of the parts. Yeah.
I just want us to have administrator control over our own data because it's extremely valuable, and I pointed this out as a security flaw ahead of time, and then this weekend, New Hampshire got that revoked from them. They have no way to contact their members. They have no way to take donations. So for me, this is a high-level asset that we should just secure as our own, and that doesn't mean we're not going to send data to national. Doesn't mean that it's not gonna be a mutually beneficial relationship, but it just means that we get administrative control, full administrative control over our own contact list.
Madam Secretary?
May I, would you object to the full report and investigation on this being also part of that committee's job to have a report for next meeting?
Can you say that again, sorry?
Would you object to amending the committee that we formed earlier to include investigation of this issue with a full report to the board with recommendations next meeting?
I think that is a good solution. However, I think people really need to consider that we secure this data now simply with the admin account and password. That's all we really need to.
David?
I have state admin privileges, so I don't think there's anything that we need to do about that. And I also back up the data once a week, so we have an off-site backup.
Does that address your concern?
Can I get recognized? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just like to clarify, I think Ryan's problem is not solved just by having admin access. We need exclusive so that it cannot be taken away by other parties, is I think what he means. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's pretty much right on the money.
The reason, well, I think as far as the immediacy thing, I think David did kind of address the immediacy thing where we are backing up the data. So if some weird New Hampshire situation happened here, at least we'd have that. But as for a permanent answer, I would like to see a thorough committee report of multiple people. Not only that, on a committee, this gets a bit technical, but like say, I'm not picking on you, David, I happen to see you. Say David disagreed, he would have the right to write a minority report. I want to see a detailed plus minus, this is what we need to do report before we make a final decision, since it seems the danger of us losing our data is not there because we have backups. At least that immediacy problem is solved, maybe only temporarily, but I don't think there's anything that has to be done tonight to prevent National from doing a New Hampshire to us. But for a more permanent solution, I really want to see more thorough discussion from multiple points of view.
Daniel, you had something?
And Mario, I believe it has his hand up.
Yeah, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I guess I'm seeing your point. My only thing would be, so even before the New Hampshire stuff happened, I think Ryan had a really good point. It's good to know we have backups. That's not a ton of that. That's kind of like a safety blanket, but that loses us everything except for a week-old data, which is now stale. My question would be, so if you have access, and LNC has access, admin access, can they revoke your admin access? The point of my question is,
they can.
So I'm assuming if I have admin access, I can go in and remove other admins, and then I can revoke all user access. So like Ryan couldn't even get in, and then we would lose our everything, right? Like the website, and we might have a 1 week old stale copy of the data, but it would be good to know if we could do anything, maybe not tonight, but tomorrow or this week, to prevent that from happening, because even before it's already happened, it's probably a good thing to to know how to do. Now that it's happened, I think it's a very real concern.
I don't know if this will satisfy anybody, but I could make a a formal request to the LNC, asking what kind of contractual assurances there are that they won't just revoke our admin. Like,
Didn't stop them this weekend.
Yeah, so.
well, let me, even though I'm very angry about this weekend, I also try to be very fair on this. It was the legitimately elected party chair that represented to them that these other people needed to be. I mean, the buck does have to stop with somebody, and the person in charge of the party is, and until tonight, she still was the chair of that other affiliate. Well, other affiliate's not the way I want to word it. The actual affiliate, too. She was removed as chair this evening. But there's always a woulda, coulda, shoulda. Because it was the legitimately elected chair that requested it, at the time, I don't blame the LNC for their original action. I blame them for the subsequent actions. But the first request from the chair came from a legitimate source. But I could ask what the safeguards are, but I don't want to act hastily here for multiple reasons. A, none of us ran on this platform, so I don't think we can claim a mandate from the delegates all of a sudden to sever something or risk something that the past boards have for the past 3 or 4 years with the blessing of the delegates built. The strong messaging, most of us ran on that. We have a mandate. Affiliating the whole state, Wayne ran on that. We have a mandate. None of us ran on decoupling, or I'm probably using the wrong term. I'm not saying I don't know if they understood that, to be honest with you. I didn't. But I don't want to move hastily here.
So may I clarify my question? I don't know if I got an answer. So my question really was, can we find out?
If you did,
I mean, I'm assuming it's true, but can we find out if the LNC can revoke your access and everybody else's access so that we lose the website?
Or what can they do? Under what circumstances can they do that?
Well, I'm just wondering if
they
it's
can.
I know. I'm wondering if it's technically possible and if we can set up any
way to prevent that,
right? So like, you know, if two admins agree, I don't know what the platform. I think the platform's pretty crappy from what I've seen, but I think it's a fairly lower end CRM. But if there's something in there where we can say, well, at least 2 admins or at least 3 admins have to approve revocation of access. I'm not talking about splintering from LNC. I'm not talking. I am literally just talking about. I'm asking if there's a technical way to make sure that if somebody tries to take away all of our stuff, if we can prevent that.
Mr. Chair, may I ask? Well, you can tell me if this is proper. Would you mind authoring a specific question request to the National Party, outlining all those, and I'd be glad to, because I won't word it right, okay. Because I'm only partly fluent in geek.
Ryan and I can work together.
Okay. Yeah, and if you can get me that specifically worded request, I'll pass it on and get you an answer.
Okay, we have David, Mike, Daniel, Mike, and then David. Go ahead, Daniel.
I think we're anticipating a little too much. If National is going to come down and disaffiliate us, they're going to come down and disaffiliate us. If they're going to take an action, they're going to take an action. And that's one of those, I like to be proactive, but that is one of those you have to be reactive. You can't assume what they're going to do and then, you know, hope that you can necessarily outmaneuver them, particularly on the thing with the data. And week-old data is stale for sales purposes. And yeah, there may be another 1,000 names added to it, but there's still...
Oh, we'd be lucky if it was 1,000. Wish it was 1,000.
Right, there's still 70 some of the 90+% of the delegation we've still got the same contact information for. So we could contact and mobilize them should the need arise for something like that. I think it is a great idea to figure out what exactly the National Party can and can't do per the contracts and agreements that we have, and to have some plans in place, but I think we are going a little too too defensive over the data. We've got more than what New Hampshire had as far as a backup and security, and we have more of a plan already in case the LNC does try something than what New Hampshire had. So I think we're already in a better position, and we don't need to necessarily take drastic actions on our data tonight.
Right? Okay. A little background, I've been doing computer security for quite a while. I've been doing software for a quarter century. Ryan's got great points about the data security. We have a problem here. The problem is that we have a hosting server for the data, which has its own set of administrative privileges for physical access to that server. And then we have the data that lives on that server, which has a separate set of access privileges. One can shut out the other. That's the fundamental problem here. If we had our own server with our own data, it wouldn't be an issue. That's what I think the big concern is here. And yes, having the data hacked on national server, I don't know what their security is there, but let's say it could happen. That would screw us over big time, even if we had a backup here locally. I'm not convinced that CRM gains us much in terms of data accessibility, versatility for what we need to do for our mission at this level. I would be in favor of splitting this out partially in terms of security, partially in terms of data autonomy, flipping the paradigm so that we do control our own server, we control our own data, and we send national scrapes on a regular basis of that data so that they're not cut out of the loop, but they also can't cut us off either. That preserves our data, you're gonna hate this term, our intellectual property, our party's information, and helps us move forward what we wanna do here, but it doesn't cut them out at the same time. So it's a goofy situation because of that sharing problem, and I think that's the core of the issue here. It would make, to me, putting on my security hat, it would make a lot more sense that if we can secure our own server, secure our own data in-house or as close to as we can, so that we can guarantee that not only that our data is safe, but the PII of our members is safe. That's freaking important, and that's a liability issue, okay? I don't want to have this party go under getting sued by somebody because our data on national server got hacked on national servers, and somebody and our parties at national didn't have their act together, and we had the ability to do it here.
David and then Ryan.
Okay. This is a shared system, okay? Our data is commingled with every other state that's on it. All of this contacts that we get from national go directly into our data. There's no delay. The record, if somebody goes to national's website, we get it that instant. It doesn't wait 30 days for them to send us a dump. We get it right then. By the same token, when somebody comes to our website and enters their name, National gets it that instant. It's basically a shared record. It says this record belongs to Colorado and National can use it. Or this record came from National and Colorado can use it. It happens that way. There's one big, gigantic database that has 800,000 records from all over the country, and 70,000 of those are ours. National is very concerned about PII. That's why they updated the non-disclosure thing. So they are very concerned about PII. If you're talking about maintaining your own server and your own data, that comes with a cost. It's not free. And you have to maintain it. You're going to have somebody who's willing to do the updates whenever they come out, and all of that that sort of thing. That stuff is handled by National right now. And that's something we get for free. I am not nearly as concerned about the possibilities of National cutting us off. I don't think there's any reason for them to do that. I think that maybe this New Hampshire problem was a learning experience where somebody made the wrong decision someplace. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. It sounds like from what Karen Ann said that the legitimate chair made a decision to restrict access to certain people. And who's to say that was not the right decision? I don't know. I think there's overblown concern about this. I really do.
Thank you, David. Brian?
I need admin privileges, root user admin privileges to do everything I've already pitched here, which I was elected unanimously to provide to the party. It's crazy to me that this is even like a big discussion. I think New Hampshire got pulled into this and made it all weird. But the idea that any organization is going to have some person with administrative privileges that can come in, have a couple beers, and then just, wipe out the entire, key asset of the party is crazy. And the database is all in plain text. There's no hashing of all that data. WordPress is extremely vulnerable. One of the most vulnerable platforms there is. There's no data model integrity. There's all sorts of just empty and null values.
Wait a minute, did you just say the database isn't encrypted?
It's in all the values in the database are in plain text.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Okay, so we're not getting anything out of this CRM that is exceptionally valuable, because it's not even that easy to use, so people just don't use it as often as a modern platform that every organization uses that's not a WordPress free open source CRM with a couple tables in it. It's really the technical equivalent of an Excel spreadsheet slightly dressed up. So I think we can have a committee and talk about all this stuff. I think we need to secure our own admin root privileges to our own data. And that is just, from a technical standpoint, like crazy that we don't have that.
Ryan, I would also ask for you to explore the possibility of keeping both the new platform as well as what we have right now with National. And
we can keep both, and we can, like I said, sunset. We can still support all that stuff, so it's not a hard transition or anything. You won't even really notice it. But we have to get that root account, because there's just a giant hole in the entire tech stack, which is core to our strategy. That is a guy that's not even a member of LPCO, that can come in and just wipe everything out. And I'm not saying that that's realistic, but it's just a no-brainer. And anyway, I need that access to develop on.
Karen?
I don't know where we're at. So before I made the motion to amend something previously adopted, I had asked if you would, I didn't want to do something that you would find offensive, if I amended that motion to include taking a looking for that committee to explore all this, to present opinions to the board for next meeting.
I agree with that 100%, and then I'll amend that amendment to this board needs to secure its root admin accounts. That's what we need. And we just have to have that. Nothing has to change, but we have to not have at the highest level somebody that's not even in this state.
Well, I don't see.
I don't know what
see
that
a motion
means.
there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but we're not tech people
I'm
here.
not sure what root admin
Like,
is.
what-
It means this one person, he has privileges that trump all the other privileges. So
I
that
get,
means he can do whatever he wants.
I get it. Okay, so he's king admin guy.
Yes.
But what vote can we take here tonight to take an LNC king admin's power and give it to you? I don't think we can.
Yeah, I understand what a root admin is.
Help me with that.
I just don't think we can.
That'd be an LNC vote. We would have to make a request to them,
Yeah,
probably as a state
that's
board.
why I was asking Mario and Ryan, first, let's get these answers of the questions that were posed, and I think that will help us craft an actual ask. And in the meantime, the committee can meet, get the technical details down in a way to present it to us who aren't quite as technical, so that the board can make a meaningful decision. I understand, I think, to the best of my ability, the concerns, but I also understand we've been in this program now a couple years, and I don't see anything that has to happen tonight, drastic, that we might regret. I agree we need to move on and explore and make a decision. I think most people would end up voting no here simply because we're confused. And no might not be the right vote. I want us to the less technical people to be a little bit more comfortable to understand what's going on.
So we are back to the original question. And Karen asked if you.
Yeah, because I'll make that, I haven't even made that amendment yet, because I'm not trying to I'm trying to be diplomatic, I don't want to make an amendment that you would find offensive. So if you would be okay, I'm going to move that.
What is the highest point of information, David? What is the highest administrative level that this board has access to? Is that your level?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get me on par with that level?
We actually have 4 people who have state admin. Those are, one was John Hirschman.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Montoni has state admin. Amy Lundy has state admin because she builds the convention website. And I believe that's it.
But she might not be doing that in the future, so that should be removed, because this.
Okay.
David, help us out a second.
So can he have that?
What's state admin versus other user privileges?
Okay. There are 4 levels of privileges that state parties have. State admin is the highest, state leader is next, county leader is next, and county volunteer is on the bottom. None of those are root. Okay? I believe there are probably 2 or probably 3 people who have root access. Andy Burns, Ken Molman, and possibly John Fetzko of Pennsylvania. And possibly Tony Sellers in Florida as well.
Okay.
Point of information. Did one of those people with root access in locking out the state level board in New Hampshire?
The state party chair did, who had state admin access.
She did.
She did.
She locked out the rest of the state.
Yeah, she locked out the rest of her board.
I think, now, I don't know, okay? State admin can, in fact, change the access of every person in that state to no access. So she could do that if she was state admin. I don't know how it was actually done.
True. She could have asked someone else to as well, because she has the authority as state party chair.
Right.
I mean, that's a function, not of our database, of being chair. I mean, somebody
Right.
has to be ultimately in charge of the party. That's just,
Yeah, I mean, somewhere the buck has to stop someplace. Right now, the buck here is Wayne Harlow's.
Well, right now, Dave, I think the question that Ryan posed to you is, can you get him the
yeah, can
top level
he have
access?
top level like Amy had?
If that's what the board wants me to do, yes.
I move that we give Ryan Kane top-level administration access that the state board is authorized to give.
That's not in order tonight,
Well, yeah, why not?
because there's still a motion pending.
What motion?
The one that you were talking about amending.
I didn't though, I
But
didn't.
that was still, that other main motion that you.
That's right, there is a main motion on the floor. He's
That's
right.
No, what is it?
The one you were talking about in
The,
first place.
the one that Ryan made that you were going to amend.
No, I was
No, that
gonna
one's
amend
been-
something
that was
passed
passed.
earlier.
Oh, okay.
Your,
Never mind.
your motion is correct. We have,
Yeah.
I
do we have a
stand
we have a second?
Second?
Wait, can I amend that real quick?
Let's have a second first.
Well, if it hasn't been seconded, he might change it.
I will entertain friendly suggestions.
All right, state access, and then amend to form a committee on route access to present at next board meeting.
Well, that would be a separate, that would
Yeah.
be to amend the other earlier motion.
Okay.
Okay, so we're good with
All right.
state admin?
That, all right.
Well,
State
wait,
admin
wait.
access for now.
What exactly about root?
We're
The-
to
Can we
explore
do-
Let's do one-
decoupling
let's
from
do one
route.
Can we
thing
do this
one-
motion
one-
first?
Yeah, one thing at a time here. The motion on the table was to give Ryan top-level access. It has been seconded. Do we have any objections to that? That passes. David, would you give Ryan top-level access, please?
Okay.
Now we can get back to the amendment to
Okay.
something previously
Right,
adopted that we're working on.
I would move to amend something previously adopted earlier in this meeting, during the, hold on, I'm looking for the motion, which was to appoint a committee of 5 to investigate the website issue. And what was the other thing you wanted them to look at?
Decoupling the CRM.
Okay, and decoupling the CRM and report back, blah, blah,
Route-
blah, okay.
Route access. Your-
And route access.
And route access, okay. So I am moving to amend the motion previously adopted regarding the website issue to add to its task to investigate decoupling the CRM and obtaining route access?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? We're just about out of time, guys. Hearing none, do we have any objections? No objections, that passes. Guys, we've had a great night tonight. We are pretty much done. Our next meeting will be the second Monday of next month, 7 o'clock. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Any objections? Got a lot done.
Thank you.
Okay,